This is City of Kwinana's first ever community pocket forest. Lottery West is funding the pilot, and Regenerate Australia has facilitated the event today.
A community pocket forest is a small, diverse, native forest planted using the Miyawaki method to create a habitat for our native wildlife, such as black cockatoos.
The goal behind the pocket forest is creating a space for the community to come together, and also just so that more people have the ability to be immersed in nature.
As our communities get more built up and there's more houses, there's a lot less green space. And we don't often get to find that time to spend in nature. And sometimes we can feel quite isolated.
When I had my boy Leon, I went through a really bad patch with mental health. So I came down to the park every day to connect with my boy. So having him part of something that's gonna make the park improve, I was like, oh my God, I need to do this. Like, we need to do this.
It was a great turnout. Everyone got stuck in. The mayor came down, and it was just great to establish those connections in the community, start having more of those conversations about how we can improve our spaces, and also just be surrounded by nature.
Being able to bring this into this community, connecting with one another, really brings that sense of belonging, but also is really good for the mental health and well-being.
Having him part of something that we can watch grow is just special. It's a special moment for us, and I think it's good for the community as well.
Reconnecting people with their pride in their place and their spaces, I think that's the key.
Being able to do that together with people that you live next to each other is actually quite incredible.